on a certain level, if it's a little bit of jealousy, a little bit of worry, a little bit of, worry, I think that is a sign that somebody really cares about you and your connection. And every perceived threat, they're going to react to it. But the problem is when it's an overreaction. And the problem is when it's a thing that's like, let me just tell you about my experience. Basically, I know a lot of young people go through this where they just keep observing their partner. You know, when you're like out in public and then you see their eyes wander around, and it really upsets you because they look at somebody too long or at a certain body part or something. Like it gets really it can be really hurtful, obviously. And I thought, how in the world can I not ever be bothered about this, right? Let me just tell you, if you're with the right person, you're gonna see it from a different perspective, because first of all, they're not going to trigger you all the time. There's gonna be so many other signs that you actually have a strong connection. Like if you're together with the person that you're actually compatible with, you're not gonna really have to worry, you know what I mean? At least can you imagine, because I do think everybody deserves an actual healthy relationship where you match with the person. Like it doesn't matter if you believe in like soulmates or not, or the one. I personally do, but some people don't, and that's fine. But you should not settle for somebody you're not really compatible with, somebody where you're just settling. Watch my video on why settling is dangerous, because it is. But yeah, I think if somebody makes you jealous all the time, if you keep like observing them like a hawk, right? You're like onto their case all the damn time. You want to look through their phone. And I'm not saying like every once in a while you're just like curious and just like want to see if the person would let you look at their phone. I'm not saying that like you should never do that. Oh, privacy, because in my experience, this is what people say who have stuff to hide. This privacy nonsense, like, oh, private. If I take my phone everywhere I go, you better believe that I'm doing something wrong. Or I have something to hide, because I don't care. If I have to go to the bathroom, I'm not gonna take my phone all the damn time. Like, TMI, but if it doesn't take too long, obviously. Like, if it takes longer, then maybe you might take your phone, but it's also kind of, I don't know, it's a bit unhygienic, but whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you always have to take your phone everywhere you go, you never leave it in the vicinity of your partner because they could look through it. Or you don't give them the password. Or, you know, the other way around. They don't give you the password. They don't ever let you hold their phone. That's just, it's no privacy. Like, if you're really together, why is there need for this privacy? Like, you probably seen each other naked. What more, like, openness do you need? Like, where does this suddenly come from? Like, oh, you can see me naked, but this is private. My damn phone. Like, seriously? That's nonsense. It's nonsense. I don't care what anybody says. It's really nonsense. You have something to hide. If you think that way, if you're like, oh, this is private, oh, you have something to hide, that's why. Because if you don't have anything to hide, what's the problem? That they're not being polite about it? Okay, that's another thing. If people are being rude, yeah, I get that. That can be a boundary crossing. But if you're like, oh, please, can I just, you know, do something with your phone, like whatever. Can I please just, even if they're upfront, right? Oh, can I just please look through your phone? I think I could do that. If I would rather do it that way than just doing it in secret. But that's just me. But yeah, if a person just makes you feel like there's, you know, your intuition is basically telling you that they are not really into you like that. They're not into you the way they're supposed to in your eyes. Then that intuition is valid. Because intuition never lies. It never lies. And as again, there's a thing as being too controlling, too insecure, but it's still like I was insecure. I was I don't know, I wasn't really like controlling like that, but you know, you try to control what you can when you feel like that's the only thing you can do. But I was still right. But while being, you know, insecure and all of these things, I was still right. I was still right about my intuition, about my feelings of suspicion. I was always right. I was never wrong. Even if it was wrong to look through a person's phone without them knowing, I was right. And that's the problem. Like, if you feel like you have to look through the phone. Not like you're just like, oh, you know, like, oh, I feel cheeky. I just want to try. I just want to see how they react. If it's more than that, if it's like, oh, you're just waiting for an opportunity, you snatch your phone, you could somehow get the code, or maybe you know it, but you know they just never let you have the phone. You just wait for this opportunity. You wait until they sleep. If that's what you're doing, most likely the other person is actually doing something. And I don't want to validate people who are really super insecure and controlling, because that happened to me. Like, I was being accused of doing stuff, but to be very honest with you, it was because that person who accused me was actually the cheater, and they accused me because, I don't know, maybe it made them feel better. Like, maybe they hoped that I was cheating so they could like feel better about their own cheating, right? I think there's a healthy sense of jealousy, or just addressing something that bothers you in that way, in that context. But if it's like a daily problem where you, every time you go out, you feel like the person is looking at other people for too long, it's disrespectful, they're not listening to you because they're looking at somebody else, like, I'm sorry, but the problem is not jealousy, the problem is the person. And it's, you can't change them, you can't make somebody really want you the way you want to be wanted. You can't make somebody change in that way. You can't force somebody to want you. Like, that's pathetic. That's pathetic. Do you really think that lowly of yourself? Like, you have to settle for that? Because it's not true. As soon as I told myself that, you know what? It's actually, I will actually trust in myself, in my intuition that's telling me that there is a person out there that's for me, like the one exists. As soon as I really trusted in that, and it still took a while to just really, really trust in that fully, because until it happens, you never really know for sure, right? But as soon as I did have hope in that way, I just had a feeling like this person wouldn't make me feel all of these things, like this anxiety, because that's not the one for me. If I would feel that way, if I would have to be scared, if I would feel like a random stranger can threaten our relationship, like, think about that. A random stranger's crusty butt, or musty tits. I'm so sorry, YouTube is gonna hate me, but I'm not monetized yet anyways, so enjoy it while it lasts. I can say what I want. If these things can, you know, or if you're a guy, like, oh, another guy's height, or I don't know what guys are like looking after, maybe, I don't know, fitness level or chadness level, like, I really don't know, because I don't know what guys are jealous of. If this rando can just threaten your relationship like that just by their presence, that's bad news. That's bad news, because your relationship is, the foundation is on superficiality. Like, think about it. If it's just like, it's just the looks, it's just like, oh, somebody who is perceived as like conventionally more attractive than you, and that just threatens your whole connection you have with the person you're with. That's really massive red flag, because it shouldn't, right? It shouldn't. It's not your fault that you feel that way, you know? if you're in a real toxic relationship, you will actually experience your partner making you jealous on purpose, because that's the only way they feel needed, they feel wanted. That's also a massive red flag. So I think we should really take jealousy kind of a little bit more seriously. And I'm not talking about like, you know, there are levels to it. I'm not talking about level 1, where it's just like, oh, you're a little bit annoyed. Like, that's fine. I think that's completely normal, to be very honest with you. That's completely normal. We're human, right? We're not perfect. But if it's like a daily problem, if it comes up and then you can't deal with it as a couple, not you alone, right? Not you alone, but you can't even talk about it, you don't get reassurance, because that's also one thing that a lot of people don't get, and then they kind of accept that it's not happening, is to get reassurance from your partner. Like, and I'm not saying like them telling you empty words, because everybody can do that. Everybody can say, oh, you're the only one for me, da da da. But do the actions match? Right? Do they actually notice? Maybe. Like, you know, for example, I'm a person who looks everywhere. I am very observant, and that saved my lives many times, or let's say a few times. I'm a bit exaggerating here. I look around. I look at people because I want to know my surroundings. So only because I look around doesn't mean like I'm flirting or like I'm into somebody, like you. But you know, somebody who's really insecure could perceive this as such. So I would be aware of that. Depends on the person's insecurity level, and I would try to reassure them without even them asking me, right? Just to make it clear, like I'm just gonna tell them, oh, this person seems odd or something. And there's so much nuance in this, you know, because I experienced a toxic person doing that, but they were just covering up what they're actually doing. But again, you have your intuition. You have your intuition. It's gonna tell you. It's not gonna be in your head. It's not gonna be like overthinking stuff. You have to trust your intuition in this. If you are the jealous one, and if you see something over and over and over again, because what I'm describing that I do, right, and other visual people do, that we just look around, we see stuff, it doesn't mean that we're just staring somebody down, or we like, you know, like undressing them with our eyes. That's not, that's obviously not excusable. Like, that's just gaslighting at that point. If somebody's gonna try to think that's normal, it's not normal. Or, oh, I'm a guy, I have to look at this part. Or if, as a woman, if you don't look at the same part equally, that's a problem. Because we see everything. Like, a guy can also look at another guy, and he's not gonna be gay just because he looks at another guy. You know what I mean? So yeah, there has to be some logic to it, obviously. But I still stand by my point. Jealousy is an indicator, like excessive jealousy is an indicator that there's a severe mismatch and there's no security. It's not a secure relationship. It's not a good relationship. And everybody's gonna tell you on YouTube and anywhere else that if there's excessive jealousy, there's something severely wrong. And it can be from your side, but it can also be equally from the other side. And it's not something you can change, unfortunately, but maybe fortunately, because the one could be waiting, you know, and you ending this toxic connection could actually open the door to the person who's made for you and who's there for you and who's not gonna make you feel that way. Yeah. I'm saying this because I'm experiencing it, and it's a massive difference from how I felt in the past. So don't lose hope, you know. I had to be done, to be very honest with you. I had to be done with looking for people in a romantic way. I just really closed that chapter, and I was like, you know what, I'd rather be alone if I don't get what I really want. And that's when it just pops up, when you let go. So yeah, I'm not the only one who experiences these things, by far. Don't lose hope. And let me know about your jealousy stories, because I'm nosy. Yeah. Like the video, please, if it was of any value or interesting. Talk to you soon. Bye.